mission of Circles is pretty much twofold. We focus on the aspect of safety, right? We want you to be in a place where you feel safe, where you can feel heard, you can feel seen, but also in a place where you can journey with people with similar life challenges. So we're trying to fight back against this concept of the epidemic of loneliness, right? And so we're fighting against that. But in this session specifically, we get to also chat more with April in regards to experiences within the LGBTQ plus IA community, right? And we're discussing, and April will talk more about it, but there's a lot to discuss, right? There's a lot to discuss, from transitions to acceptance to challenges and triumphs within a person living within their own truth, right? So I want you to take a deep breath, right? I see Eddie, Bay Area, purple. I see Dallas, Texas, red. Okay. And also share the link for this space. You don't want to miss out on 3/4 of your blessing. But I also want you all to join me as I introduce Miss, in Creole, we would say Avril, or French, April, into this space. So if you can heart on the screen, I want to welcome her in this space, whatever emoji you want to share. And if you would just allow me, before we dive into it, April, I want to introduce you based on your bio, but also I want to share a little bit of why April is unique, right? When I say unique in the sense of not just her experience, but the person that she is, right? So if you go, you will see her bio. And so most of this you will see on the app, but I'm going to add just two parts into it. So you all know she's an extraordinary individual. She guides numerous rooms in this space, but she facilitates not just with experience, not just with lived experience, but with her heart. So April brings over 14 years of invaluable experience within the mental health field, working across spectrum with children, adolescents, adults, elderly. And then you see her educational journey, right? She's earned a BS in psychology. Then she's also completed her Master's of Social Work. Shout out to our social workers. And in addition to that, you will recognize that she's also worked in varied settings like jails, inpatient treatment facilities, psychosocial rehabilitation programs, right? And if you saw the post, you will see that one thing that she's known for is her active listening skill, right? And I can attest to that, because even as two facilitators that joined at a very particular time, when their circles was burgeoning, we've had our bumps of heads, we've had our opportunities to learn a little bit more about each other from even our walks of love for basketball, but ultimately our love for each other and our love for God. The reality is that April believes profoundly in the uniqueness of each person's story, right? And I believe April seeks to give to people what people at times have lacked to give to her, right? And I'm saying this from my own experience. So, and I would say that that's rooted in empathy, understanding, and I believe in we said active belief in the aspect of active listening, but I believe she has this transformative power of listening to people's hearts, right? So before I keep going, before I keep chatting about April, I want you, April, to just welcome yourself into this space, and know that the lay of the land is yours. We'll take questions as you present. I'll be the fly on the wall in the chat. Let me know how I can support, but welcome to this space and welcome to your space. How art thou? Hey, Carly D.
I would like to say thank you so much, Denard. And yes, everything of what he has said, you all to know to be true. As much as that I have given quite a bit. So I want to say thank you so very much for being here, first and foremost. When it comes to the LGBTQIA plus topic, there's a lot to be talked about, a lot. And so we only have a short period of time, so I did want to actually go back to when Denard had talked about the colors, and what you meant, and not what was meant, but also just what is your favorite color? Like, what is it? What is it? Because I saw red, and Denard said blue, and actually blue was the favorite color of my late wife, and red is my favorite color. I say that red. I say that because it's a color that is just fierce for one. I feel that way. Also, and I use the word feel, feel. Also, too, it is about that. I want to know the colors. Also, too, simply because it's about you. It's about you. So please, I would love to know all of you all's favorite colors and where you're from. And anyone can speak. Anyone. Anyone. I first also too want to say as well. I saw. Is it Nia? Is that correct? Neiya. Is that correct? I just want to make sure that I have your name correct. And I see that she is new to circles with a green leaf. With a green leaf, please, everyone, put up any emoji to welcome her, please. And so, and is it Tamara, correct? Or Tamara?
No,
Tamara.
ma'am. Actually, it's Tamara, like camera. But
Tamara.
thank you very much
Tamara.
for
I,
making
I
sure.
know, I just want to make sure I have it right. And I'm a name person. I really am.
Yeah, me too.
And
Yeah, me too. Yeah, depends. Sometimes, as long as you don't call me Tammy, I'm okay. But I
Tam,
prefer to.
and I love for you, and I love that you gave me a nickname because I'm telling you, like there were so many groups when I would ask about the pronunciation of a name, and I would say, "Hey, like I'm not like okay, remind me again. Let me
Sure.
so
It's
Tammy,
it.
Tammy.
No, don't call me Tammy. No, no Tammy.
Okay,
It's
no
it's
Tammy,
it's Tamara, like camera.
Tamara. Got it.
Yes. All right. Wonderful. So I am from Sarasota, Florida, and my favorite color is teal. That kind of like halfway between green and blue.
Oh, and why Till? Why?
I don't know. I've always just been drawn to it. Um, I like it because it's a really bright color. So definitely it is, and you can find it in nature, in the ocean. So yeah, that's why I choose it.
I abs- I absolutely love that. I do. I do. Because one thing about me is that, yes, as Denard had stated, I love the uniqueness about people. I love that you can share, and I want you to. I want you to know that I am here for any questions or just even if you just want to talk. It's okay. It's okay. And I also want to reiterate too of the respectfulness of everyone here. So, and who else would like to go next? Okay. So, let's start off with why did you come to this group? Why? Why? And tell me your stories. I'm here to listen, and I'm here to give you any type of advice, education, feedback that there may be. And Denard, please, if there's anything that you would like to add as well too, please. Hey, Carly D, I see your hand up. Please go ahead.
Hi, so my name is Carly and I'm from Houston. My favorite color is pink. I'm here today because I'm finally beginning to embrace that I am part of this wonderful community, and I don't want to live in the shadows anymore about it. And so I'm here to support everyone and to fully embrace and to continue learning about myself and the fluidity of it all, and just to embrace it and love that part of myself and live it out loud.
I love that. And Carly D, I know that you have been in several of my groups. And if you do not mind, I would love for you to share your story amongst everyone just one more time, because it was so impactful. And so please go ahead.
Yes, so I grew up in a Christian family, but early on I knew that I had feelings towards women. And, I came out to my friend, my best friend, when I was 13, that I was bisexual. And at first she was like, oh, girl, it's just a phase. And so I kind of just went back in the closet, so to speak, and I didn't want to talk about it anymore to anyone. But as I got older, I realized I still, had these feelings and this attraction. And I started to explore it later in my adult life, being in relations with women. And my closest friends, they know about it, that part of me. But still, I haven't really come out to my family. They're very strict Christians. And so it's still really hard for me to discuss that part with them. But I'm hoping this year, now that I'm fully embracing it and getting rid of this fear, um, that this year will be the year for that. So I'm here, and I'm supporting, and I love going to your groups, April, because it's helping me feel support. And thank you for that.
You are more than welcome. You are more than welcome. And I thank you so much, like, for sharing. Because the one thing that I will say about you, you've been so transparent, and there is always going to be, and not always. Let me take that word back. Not always will there be a discrepancy or a conflict between religion and within the LGBTQIA plus community, because just as such myself as well too, I am a firm believer within God, and my faith stands strong each and every day. And I will let you know exactly how pressing forward actually means. So I'm going to try this again. Tamara, right?
Bless your heart, honey. Okay, wait, it's one more time. I'm Tamara, like camera. Yeah, but thank you. I just wanted to share my story a little bit too, because I can relate. I didn't come out until my 2015, my late 40s, and it was weird because my father divorced my mother when I was 12, and has lived as a gay man ever since. He has been married As soon as it was legal, he was married almost immediately. But they had been together for many years before that. And my mother was that Christian thing. And so I remember telling her, like, because I always had situationships with women, but they were always secretive. They were just my friends, quote unquote. But when I finally came out and I started dating my first woman, and she moved in, but we lived together. And I remember my mom saying to me, well, why don't you just tell people she's your roommate? But it was weird because too, I have children that are biracial. So they already have that kind of working in their situation. And so I really wanted to wait till they grew up, because, I thought I didn't want to give them one more difficult situation. And it was really weird because my kids are like, what did you wait for? And they both have, both of my children, they have siblings that are gay. So, but I'm glad I came out. I am bisexual as well. And it just depends on the person who I meet. Currently, I'm single, dating myself, but I'm open to either in the future.
If you don't mind, tell me a little bit about when you dated your first girl. Tell me about that. And thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing your history. Thank you.
It was weird. She had been out for many years, like probably 10 or 15 years, so a long time. And I remember the first time, we were we would go to the grocery store together, and she'd hold my hand, and I would feel like it took me a while to get over that. Because I'd always been very secretive in the closet. But I remember our first date, we went to this restaurant by the beach, and we were going to cross the street and go to the beach. And it was she kind of held her hand back, and she took my hand. And I remember thinking at that moment I felt so protected. It was really, but it was hard because she was, like I said, she was very open, and had been that way. And my daughter at that time was 16 or 17. So we dated for, we were the U-Haul lesbians, how they always get together really quick. So we probably within the first month we were living together, and then it lasted about 6 months. But I think that me not being able to accept love and be able to give love, I know that was one of the main reasons that it didn't work, because I just couldn't accept her love, and I just would, shut down. And that was kind of what she said to me basically is, I want to be here with you. I'm with you. I want to share my life with you, and you just are closed off and shut down. So, but it was nice while it lasted.
When you say the word protected, what do you mean by that? And I want everyone to know, Nakia, Carly D, Naya, I hope that I'm pronouncing your name correctly, Morgan, and Eddie, you all can speak at any moment. What does protection mean? When you said that you held her hand, protection, what did that mean to you?
Kind of
And
chivalry, when the man kind of walks on the outside of the sidewalk, kind of she was protecting me from, the cars hitting me, basically. And one more thing about her, she had anxiety like I do, and panic attacks. And I always thought panic attacks were hyperventilation and this whole scenario. And I realized that I was having panic attacks, and I was able to realize that, okay, this is just the way my panic attack happens. But just, she was just very supportive, and just that. I felt like her, because it was hard, when you're not used to being out, and you're going around, out of the, and I was always afraid somebody would say something to us, or someone would, so I always felt with her I was protected. No matter what happened, she could take care of me.
And I have another question for you as well, too, if you do not mind. Is that okay with you?
Sure.
What made you comfortable in the sense of being in public?
Well, as like I said, I have biracial children, so I was used to being stared at. Um, I didn't really, I mean, people were going to stare. People were going to stare. But I just was afraid of somebody like verbally, abusive. But and the more we did it, the more we went on public. We celebrated the holidays together. I just got more comfortable the more we did it, but it was really scary at first.
First, what I would like to say is that any situation is scary. Any situation, whether you're in the LGBTQIA plus community, and just like you said, you have biracial children. Yes, that can also be scary because we never know what another person's judgment may be. It does not mean that you are different. It means that you are loving something that is within you internally. That when you look in the mirror and you say, hey, I am this person. What defines me? Who is it that, whether it's friends, family, it does not matter. But you're saying, this is what is important to me. Being able to gravitate to that takes a strong individual, because you do battle. You battle so many different opinions within life. What you do gather is that you have integrity, you have the strength to build a foundation that may never have been there. Who knows if it was or not? So I'll pause just 1 second for that. Does anyone have any feedback in regards to and I'm trying to Tamara, right? No.
Bless your heart again. Just call me T. How about that?
T, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Because I even wrote it down like a different way. And it's just, it's something about your name, meaning that you are so unique. You are so unique in every fashion possible. And it's on my end. It genuinely is. It
Yes.
is. So these coming out stories, these coming out. Oh my God, us coming out. I want to know a little bit more. I want to know more.
Yeah, I would say that I practiced the Christian faith for probably until my early 40s. And I believe that, it was a sin that I wrestled with that for a very long time. That, I was gonna burn in hell for it. I have been deconstructing from Christianity probably for like 10 years now. And I just realized the trauma that I experienced because, you know, being afraid and having these feelings and not knowing how to address them. Um, and I understood it wasn't something that, I chose, but, I felt like I was not a good Christian, quote unquote, if I had these feelings.
So I want to touch bases also too on the religious aspect, because for me, yes, I was raised Christian as well too. And I do not have a structured religion. I do not. And so whenever you think about who would judge or what that may potentially look like, do you still pray to God? Do you still endure everything of what anybody else would as well too?
Yeah, I don't have a structured religion either. I'm still learning. I'm kind of exploring. Um, I know that I practice good deeds. I'm kind, I'm loving, I help people. I think that's all part of, spirituality, realizing that we're all energy and we're all interconnected. Um, but I've thought about like studying different things. I guess if you were to say the closest belief system I have is Buddhism, but I, don't practice it, is actually, but I just think that like love is love. And as long as I'm loving and I'm giving good and I'm helping people, and, you know, that, that is going to make the world a better place as well as make me live a better life.
Love is love. And in my opinion, God is unchanging. Morgan, we've talked several times, several. What would you have to say in regards to the LGBTQIA plus community, and just even within our groups that we've been in? What would you say was the most significant factor that we need to address? You tell me.
Need to address in terms of like people's needs as part of the community?
Absolutely. And also to the supporters of our community, and also to non-supporters as well.
Gosh. That's a broad-ranging question. I mean, something that I've really found helpful about being in the LGBTQ plus circles groups is that there's a lot more open-mindedness and welcoming and acceptance of people from different walks of life. I've really loved, especially how we all rally around people who have family members. We've had like a number of parents, especially whose children have come out, who've come into the group just looking for, support, and from people who will understand, and sometimes a little guidance. And I really love how accepting everyone is, how welcoming everyone is, in your groups particularly, that truly everyone's welcome. On circles, we haven't had anyone, because it's like opt-in. We haven't had anyone that I've experienced come into the groups who's been antagonistic. I really like that. Another thing that I like about the openness and welcoming of the spaces is that if someone came in because they were curious but weren't sure if they were, welcome to come learn, like they would find that they are, which I really appreciate, because the thing that we often talk about in our day-to-day lives is we don't necessarily want to be doing education on the fly all the time just because we happen to be who we are. So I love having a space like circles where, that's part of what I want to do when I'm here. It's not something that bothers me, especially in those spaces. And yeah, with a lot of people, I feel like who don't understand our community. There are some people who are intractable, but a lot of people, I think it's just about lack of knowledge, lack of understanding. Where I live, I'm half Jewish on my mom's side, and it's a very small Jewish community around here. It's not unusual in Nova Scotia to run into someone and I'm like the first Jewish person they've ever met. And it's kind of a similar feeling. It's like, once you actually meet someone, it takes away the sense of otherness, because you realize, oh, we're all just human beings. We're all just people. There's like this one difference, but underneath it, like, we're really all very much the same. So yeah, I think that's a lot of the value that I've been finding, and a lot of sort of the space that I think we can create in an environment, especially a really supportive environment like On Circles, to sort of welcome everyone with open arms who is interested in being in the LGBTQ plus groups.
Do you believe that we're actually different than anybody else being within the community? Do you believe that?
Not really. Not in any fundamental way. It's all surface level. Like I went through a lot of deep thinking on that when I came out as non-binary about 10 years ago. It was like, oh, does this really separate me from people who identify as, male or female, whereas I've never really felt like either. The conclusion I've come to is no, not that either. None of it, not really. Being human is being human. There's, that universality to it where you can find something with anyone part of the community or someone who's cisgender and straight, and you can find points of connection because we've all gone through enough in our lives that you can find some way where, oh, I've also experienced something similar to that. I can have empathy for you. So yeah, I don't think so. I really think that we're all essentially the same.
And when you say that you did not identify with either or, can you talk a little bit more about that, please?
Absolutely, yeah. I happen to identify as agender. It's the way that I've felt my whole life. I just didn't have a word for it until I was around 30 or so. And it just means it's like it's the same A that's used as a prefix in like atheist. It just means without. So I don't feel like I have any internal sense of gender. I was assigned female at birth, as the language goes, and raised as a girl. And I never wanted to be a boy, but I also never really identified with being a girl or being a woman. And that used to cause me some angst because I felt like I was, broken somehow for not knowing how to feel like a woman and be proud of being a woman. And then when I learned the term agender, it was like, oh, I don't have to hold myself to those standards, and I don't have to hold myself to the standards of like trying to be a man either, which was a terrifying idea to me. I don't think that I would be good at fitting into a very mask role. And it took all the pressure off. All of a sudden it felt like, oh, I can just be me, and that's actually okay. And I'm not like the only person in the world who feels that way. That's fantastic. So yeah, it was it was a journey to get there, but it's one of the best self-discoveries I've made in my life. I think it's given me nothing but positive experiences, being able to understand who I am, regardless of, how other people react to it, not always positive, but inside myself, it's given me nothing but freedom and a sense of joy to have that self-knowledge.
To know that, let me ask this question also too, that you had to find a title to be able to describe you. Because Morgan, you're amazing. Amazing. Each one of you are amazing. but to have to put yourself within a category because it appears different to other people. How does that make you feel?
You know, it's funny. I go back and forth on that. I'm a big word nerd, so I really believe in the power of words to give um, freedom and awareness when you haven't had a word. It was sort of like not having the word for my lack of gender identity was sort of like not having a word for a color that I would see in myself, that I, you know, that say I was like, my favorite color is green. So say I was green, but I didn't know that word. It'd be like, oh, I really feel like I don't, you know, everyone else is orange or purple, and I'm just like, I'm over here, it's like I don't have a word for this. Like, how do I even explain to other people that I'm different from them in a way that feels important to me, but that, you know, and it doesn't make me like, it's just one aspect of myself, but it feels like an important one. So it was really freeing to find the label, but the more that I've settled into just being myself, the less that I actually feel the need to use it. I don't like come out actively as non-binary or agender most of the time. I just let people take me as me, and I've been pleasantly surprised by the number of people who, like, when I do mention that, are just like, oh, I can see that about you, when it, you know, there's a reason for it to come up. So I I really love the idea that labels are all the labels and stuff, and like the neologisms that have been coming up in the LGBTQ community in the recent past are stepping stones on the way to everyone just being able to be themselves without needing those labels anymore. I think they're useful in a world in which these things are still considered are still largely unknown in a lot of spaces and can be difficult to describe in a way so that other people who've grown up in just a binary sense of gender identity in this case can understand. But I love the idea that someday they won't be necessary anymore.
I absolutely love that. I love that. And I want to actually just open it up to everyone. Everyone, how do you all feel about the LGBTQIA plus in the letters? What does it look like for you? And anyone has the opportunity to speak. Anyone does. Anyone. Nakia, Deanna, Carly D, T, and Eddie. Let me know. A lot of the times, oh, T, T,
Yep. Thank
come
you.
on, girl.
I know I'm a talker. I'm a talker. So,
No, and it's okay. It's okay. And right after T, it'll be Carly D. So please go ahead, please.
I really appreciate the last two speakers, especially like I didn't even know about the A, you know, how they identify, and you know, taking them as you are. I would love to know more. It was really really great to kind of hear their firsthand experience, because I want to be, you know, an ally as I can. So thank you for sharing your story.
And I will say also too with the A that goes down is asexual, which is different from what Morgan is describing. Because the asexual part, meaning that you have no sexual desire, it's two different things. So, and Morgan, if you would like to talk about the difference, please go ahead.
Absolutely.
And,
Actually,
and Carly D, you'll be right next. I just wanted to answer T's question.
I'll go quick too. I'm well positioned to answer that because I am on the asexual spectrum as well, although I'm not. I'm what's known as demisexual. So agender is about gender identity, and for most people who use it means that they don't feel like they're male, female, or a mix of the two, or go back and forth between the two. It means that there's just a lack of sense of any internal feeling of gender. Asexual means that someone doesn't experience sexual attraction. So when an asexual person gets into a relationship, many asexual people aren't interested in having a sexual relationship with their partner. Many also do fall in love with people, and there are also people who don't. They're aromantic. And yeah, in my case, I'm demisexual, which means that I'm very serious about it when I mean that I'm attracted to a person's personality first, and I won't end up feeling attracted to someone's looks unless I really click with them as a person. Um, for asexual people, they may never feel that primary sexual attraction to someone else. That may just be something that's off the radar for them, but that doesn't mean that they can't be, extremely loving and romantic partners. And yeah, there's a bunch of different variations within the asexual community. I won't go on and on about it, but yeah, it's an interesting and good distinction to be aware of. The A in LGBTQ IA plus is for asexual. Typically, agender is usually under the T.
Absolutely. Absolutely. T, how do you feel about that? I just want to ask that just really quick.
I have it. My nephew I believe, is asexual. He is never identified. He's either asexual or he's gay, and I don't think he's ever come to terms with that. But he's not had any, as far as we know, any relationships, and he's almost 30. But he did leave once he went to college. He actually works in higher education, so he's not lived here, since he was 18. And I think part of the reason he did that is because he wanted more freedom to be. And I think my sister would be accepting, but her husband is just not accepting at all. So it's different. But he's never did express that. So I'm not sure, how he identifies, but that's just kind of my experience. And I think I'm demisexual too, because if someone can have it, if I'm attracted to the person and we have a good vibe, and they can have a great, we can have a great intellectual conversation, that's more important to me than looks.
That is very ambiguous. And who just spoke? If you don't mind me asking.
It was T.
It was Tam. Yeah, there you go.
No, past that, who spoke after that? It was still T all the time. Okay.
Yeah. I don't think it was anyone else.
And Denard, I asked that because even when you said somebody was welcome, I did not see them on my end. That's the reason why I asked.
Oh, I apologize for that.
That's
Gotcha.
the reason.
No, it's just Deanna joined. Yeah, I was just welcoming her. Sorry about that. And then Lisa just joined.
Yeah, no worries. Carly D, let's go.
Oh, yes. No, I was just going to say very quickly that I think that it's more inclusive now, and I'm glad that we've been able to kind of identify, the variations and how people express and live, and I think it's wonderful, and I think it's probably just going to continue to grow in years to come.
In the definition of variation, what does that mean? What does that mean to all of you? Variation, what does it mean? And I ask that question because let's just say you have someone that there's a heterosexual person, let's say that. And they have a variation within life. Would you agree or disagree before I go forward? Lisa, I see your hand up. Please go ahead.
I agree. I think we all have variations, different types, different, it could do with our sexuality. It could do with just about anything, right? I mean, life is different things all the time. And I just wanted to speak on the fact that when I was a kid in high school, I was a junior and I had my first girlfriend. I identify as bisexual. And I had a girlfriend and I literally got chased down the hallway and called a dyke. And it was scary and I feared for my life. And absolutely nothing was done about it. So, I mean, I was scared. I really thought that they were going to hurt me. But I went to the office and, I reported it and nothing, I knew who did it and nothing was done. And it's just wonderful that nowadays people can be who they are. I don't understand everything. I don't pretend to. I'm 51 and all the new what do you call them again? Like he, she, non-binary, all that stuff. I don't understand it. Yeah, I just don't understand it, so yeah, the pronouns. So that's all. But I like the fact that it is, you can be whoever you want to be today. That's nice.
Can I ask you this question, if you don't mind?
Sure,
Lisa,
sure.
when you were scared, and how did you react? And you said that, yes, of course, you went, you took the necessary steps, all of that. But when you were scared, your first immediate thought, what was that?
Fight or flight, and I flew. I ran the fastest I ever ran up the stairs, and I am not a fast runner. And my adrenaline kicked in, and I ran so fast and so hard that I just I got the hell out of there, and I'm so grateful that that adrenaline kicked in because I was super scared. So these were boys, that were running after me, stronger, bigger guys, and I had broken up with their friend to be with a woman, and they did not like that. So that's what happened.
Scared. I want to hold on to that. I want to welcome Billy as well, too. I see that he entered into What do you have to say, Billy? I would love to know. I would love to know because the floor is open to everyone, everyone. Because this is a topic that, and of course, we have this time frame and what's talked about, within my groups that I'll extend those hours and all of this simply because you it's one thing that you can't actually you can't understand and fully know what it is whenever it comes to our community. Because the education part, it could take time, time, because each question leads to another question and another question and another question. Always. So, Billy, I would love to hear from you. What's going on? And
I'm just listening in. I just came in at the tail end. I have no idea what she's talking about.
well, tell me this: what brought you here? What brought you to this room today?
Just to understand what y'all are, what this is about with LGBTQIA and what y'all are just discussing. Just trying to understand it.
I love that. What questions do you have?
I just like understanding a perspective that is very different than my own mind, and understanding where people come through in this, so I can better be empathetic for a situation that just is not in my mindset. So that's why I wanted to listen.
Tell me first, what is your perspective? Because we all have one. So I would love to know yours. What is it about? And T, you'll be next. I see your hand up.
What do you mean? In what respect?
In the part of within the LGBTQIA plus community, how do you feel about it? Or are you within the community? Is it that you're supporting someone? Do you want to support someone? Or is it that you just want to know? Which one?
I just want to know. I want to know. It's something that's very foreign to me, and it's becoming a huge factor within the community and within my daughter's school, and you know throughout. So I'm always interested in gaining more knowledge.
And when you say within your daughter's school, tell me a little bit more about that, if you don't mind.
Well, she goes to a school that has trans kids there, non-binary kids, gay, bisexual, lesbians, and she deals with those aspects every day. So I grew up in a different time where that even where I grew up in the South, that was completely hidden. So it's now more on the forefront, if that helps answer the question.
Tell tell me just a little bit more when you said that you were and I first want to say, Denard, is it okay? Because I know that we're right at 7.
Yeah, I think this we could run it for like another 5 to 10 minutes. I'm definitely also excited that we're broaching the conversation, and I want everyone to know that uh, this is a needed conversation, and with complete transparency, I think um, one Billy had posed to me because I guess everyone gets notifications in regards to the groups that I'm also leading. And so Billy follows me, and there was a question in regards to just trying to figure out more about the group. And so I sent the link. And but I also want to make sure that everyone feels a level of safety and also it can actually inquire. So just for those that are joining, that's just wanted to give context in regards to it and just complete transparency. So if anyone doesn't feel safe or feel comfortable, please feel free to let me know. And I can also navigate that space as well. But
I
let's
thank
get
you.
it, April. Let's get it.
I thank you, Denard. Thank you so very much. Thank you. Thank you. So, Billy, I want to ask, when you said that you grew up within this community, a small community, and it sounds very reserved. Tell me more about that piece. That piece, if you do not mind.
Where I grew up?
Absolutely, yes.
Well, I just grew up in the South, and back then, everything was in the closet or demonized. And not just that, growing up in the South in the 70s, racism was a problem. So, I grew up with both those things. So, I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it actually does. It does. And I want to say that I'm so thankful that you're here. Because when it comes down to the LGBTQIA plus community, yes, it is culture, it is religious beliefs, it is everything. But once again, everyone is human. Everyone is. And so believe always that sometimes, I mean, you sit here and you're like, oh my goodness, like, am I pleasing everyone? Am I pleasing myself? And I want you to have all the questions. I want you to be able to express how your community was within you. I want you to. So I thank you for being here. Thank you.
No problem. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. T, you're next. Lisa, you're right after. Let's go.
I just want to say, Billy, I'm so proud of you for wanting to know more and to be an ally for those that you meet. Um, my father was in the South. He married my mother when he was in 1962. Um, very much in the closet. They actually swam. He was from Tennessee, and when my parents got married, and my dad and mom went to Tennessee together to live, many people commented, "We never thought he'd get married." Um, when I was 12, probably he was in his 40s then. He divorced my mother and immediately started having boyfriends. Like I was saying, he's been with the same person for about 25 years now, and they are married. So, and they did it as soon as they were able to. But that is really hard. I mean, I knew for my father it was, and my parents were miserable. They fought all the time. It was a horrible, horrible relationship. And when my dad left and came out as gay, it was really hard on my mom because she felt like she wasn't enough. Um, why did he? But anyway, so it's hard. Like I can understand what you're saying when you come from the South, and it's not only the gay culture, but as well the racism. And just I want to say something. I'll think of something else. Just a moment. I was gonna say one more thing. I can't think what it was, but anyway, thank you, Billy, for coming and for learning, and I really commend you for that.
I still love it. Lisa, let's go.
I just wanted to say that I was brought up in the 80s and in high school in the 80s, and it was still very much I was very close to Miami, and my school was mainly people of color. The white people were the minority there, and so in the community of the Hispanics and the Black people, it was a big no-no to be gay. And I was a Hispanic, and it was not accepted in the open. And my first girlfriend was she was Black, and I was very in love with her. And I got caught kissing my girlfriend in my bedroom by my grandmother, and boy, did I! Wow, did I hear an earful? And not only was it a woman, but it was a Black woman, and that was just huge no in my. We didn't. It was not accepted in my family. So, but later on, I found out that my grandmother also slept with men and women and men and women of color. I also found out that my mother, her first love was a girl. She was in a all-girl boarding school, and the hormones are raging, and she fell in love with Sylvia Miranda from Venezuela, and they went there for a summer, and it was the best summer that she had growing up. And so these things come out as we get older, and so I always wondered why I was vilified for just as a little kiss. And Monique and I were not only lovers, but we were best friends, and we spent so much time together and had so much fun, and we were really in love. And so she was the first person I ever had sex with. So it was a huge it was a huge impact on my life. And really, I realized, because I had boyfriends before her, but I never really fell in love so hard than I did with Monique. It was very special relationship. And it lasted 2 years. And that's a long time when you're 15 and 16 years old. So my dad was secretly cool about it. My dad loved lesbians, so he never said a word. And I know that my grandmother told my mother, and so it was kind of vilified and hush hush at the same time. So it just was a very different time, And like I said, I am so happy that nowadays it's so open, and it's okay to be who you are. And even though there are some people who are still, I call them ignorant, so uh, that's my story about my sexuality.
Any feedback from anyone? Tess, Billy, Lisa, T, Morgan, Eddie. Any feedback? Morgan, I see your hand. Please go ahead. And Denard, I saw that you were
Oh
speaking.
no, yeah. I was gonna call because I was gonna tell you, Tess shared in the chat. I don't know if you saw it, but she shared that you can actually share the story as you know it if you want to. You're just not in a position. She's getting her hair braided, getting it all done up right now. So if you want to share it, feel free to share it after Morgan. Just wanted you to know that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And I surely will. Thank you. Please go ahead, Morgan, please.
I just wanted to thank you so much for sharing your story with us, Lisa. That's I love when it turns out like that, someone comes out in a family and then it turns out that that's actually, there's other people in past generations who have also been part of the community, but just they couldn't talk about it because of the time and place in which they happen to be born and exist.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Grandma was born in 1919 in Cuba. So, there's your,
Absolutely. Yeah, that tells where why she had to keep it like hush hush, but it's yeah, I know what you mean. Like I grew up in the 90s and things had shifted a bit by then. Like I felt able to come out to my mom as bisexual at 17, but I never came out when I was at school still because Nova Scotia is like it's a pretty small place. It's pretty conservative. And like I came out to like a couple select friends, and they did warn me like, okay, well just don't tell like so and so from our friend group because they might be pretty uncomfortable with it. So it's so great to see how much things are changing, increasing in that direction. My niece, who uses they pronouns, has a girlfriend, and her parents are totally okay with it. Like they're actually it's funny. Her mom actually is really happy about it because she grew up in a very rural town in northern Alberta on a farm. Actually, the town was about an hour's drive away, and her first comment was like, "Oh, good, we don't have to worry like about pregnancy if they're like alone in her bedroom or something like that." And it's just like, oh, that's awesome. That's a good point. So it's just I love reactions like that. I love just how much safer it's getting, and it's slow, it's incremental, but it's like surely getting better for people more and more. And just I love to be able to compare our experiences, those of us who are older, and just look at the world as it is now and be like, this is safer now. It's so nice to see.
I thank you, Morgan. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And when I say thank you, you all know I really mean thank you. Because it is, you literally, you're being you. Everyone is being them. Tess, your story, and it's everyone's that has, everyone supports you. I first want to say that everyone. So with Tess, she has found the love of her life. Her name is Gina. Also, too, she has learned that I can be me. Now, it went throughout Christmas, it went throughout the New Year. She finally told her family. Gina had already told her family, had already said everything within just, and they went on trips. They had been together for about a year or so, and they lived together. So over Christmas and the New Year, she had to come out to her mom and also to her sister, the two closest people to her. They are both Christians. The response from her sister was, I will love you regardless. And we talked about what that statement could mean or can mean. With her mother wrote her a long letter, and stated so many different things, gave her scriptures, gave her everything possible, because she did not, and it didn't appear to be acceptance. Didn't appear. Remember that word, please. Tess is still in love, and is not going to change her relationship from what she has told me. Because, and we've had one-on-ones, she's not going to. Because she loves the person that she fell in love with. And just because it may be a girl does not mean that she's an awful person, does not mean that she is not great, does not mean that she's still not striving for everything else in life. It just means that she fell in love. And I want you all to think about the definition of being in love also. Always think about you. You. Because whenever it comes down to, hey, who am I? Who am I? And how does that feel for you? And who is it? Is it me saying that you're great? No. Is it me saying you have value, you have purpose? No. Who are you? Completely. The only person physically that can define that is you. Only you. God, for me, because there's two for me. my physical being, and then there's God, who I pray to. Yet, like I have said in all of my groups, I don't care if you believe, you don't believe, or you believe in something better, or whatever it is, whatever it is. You were brought into this life for a reason. For a reason. And through every single letter, LGBTQIA and plus, because I actually had to understand that, wow, it went all the way to Z. We're not described by a letter. We are described by the person that we are. Only you, Y-O-U capitalized. Only you can define that. Nobody else can. Nobody. Not one person. And so, with that being said, I'll pass this over to Denard. And I want to say, I thank you for being here. There's so much that I want to say, so much. And it's just a time frame. I want us to keep continuing. Please continue to join my groups and any other LGBTQIA plus group that is there, any other group, whether it is trauma, whether it's divorce and separation, whether it is just anything. It's yours. It's what you want to do. And remember your intentions also as well. And remember, the same person that may have judged you is the exact same person that may need you. Believe that. Always. Always. Denard.
Yeah, that is a awesome way to close because man, I know all good things have to come to an end, you all. And April can tell you we can have conversations all day. But thinking back on some of the questions that sparked curiosity and perspectives and also challenged thinking here, I think just taking a moment, there's and some of the work that I did, and this is an interesting fact, and I'm just sharing it just to share because there was a time that I was, long story short, New York has a lot of social workers. There's an individual by the name of Samantha Fletcher. She was the ED over the National Association of Social Workers in New York. And I had an opportunity to stand in when they were having a plethora of continuing education units. And Sam's actually, her dissertation, I was just speaking one time and it was about essentially what Morgan and you were saying. It's about this aspect of humanity, right? And I didn't know no one in the group, you all. And the short version, April, is they reached out to me immediately, April. They were like, you need a platform. You need to talk. And I'm like, okay. And here's the main point. Here's the main point. So Sam immediately started telling me everything that she's done. And here's the interesting fact, because I want to bring what Billy, I think Lisa mentioned this. I think Tamra shared this too. But you all were talking about the early South, the 70s, and also the isms that were existing. And I'll see if I can find it, April. I'll send it to you. But she has a dissertation on lessons learned from liberal lifelong social activism, because a lot of my work was more in regards to the allyship of white women into the dialogue of racial conversations of structural racism and how it affected communities of color. So I was speaking on that. And but her work was working towards that social change that Morgan you're talking about, and you would love it that eventually like there won't be a need for labels because we'll be able to see people as people, right? Their sheer humanity. But this was the interesting fact. I gotta find it, but she has a doctorate in philosophy from the University of Albany, I think. But here's what she pointed out. Do you all know that the first, and I want to use the phrase as it was like, so when we use the word LGBTQIA plus, right, when we use the community, at this point in time, it was affirming. It was more like gay affirming, queer affirming. So the first church that was the affirming church was actually a black church. So it's interesting when, and I'm bringing this up because when you see all these isms, that go ahead, Lisa.
I just wanted to mention how everything's changed so much that queer used to be a
Correct,
negative
correct,
term, and now
correct,
it's so positive. So I
correct,
just,
correct,
yeah,
correct. And here's my main point. My main point here is as we're having these conversations, and you'll look, you've heard, I think, I don't know who shared it. It may have been you, Lisa, but in having those conversations that Samantha was having, there were individuals that were, they just didn't share their love life because they were fear of the rejection, the disappointment, and then the religious trauma or the abuse and things of that nature. So a lot of the digging back, you found that you hear the cheap cliche, enemy of my enemy is like a friend, right? And so in allyship, like we're redefining what allyship looks like here, right? Can I hold space? This is the looming question, you all. Can I hold space in my heart for a person to be themselves, right? That's the looming question, right? April and I came in on the same, well, not exactly the same time, but we've been on the app for a kind of the same amount of time. And I think one thing April will tell you is in her journey, like we've had conversations, but not one time did we have a conversation as if we weren't people. You get what I'm saying? And so that's so important. And that's why like April will call me bro. I call her because we bump heads. But it's because we saw each other as people first, right? Always. Last, in between. Like, and it's so important to make sure that this is not a conversation about assimilation. It's a conversation about acceptance, right? And so many times we're having conversations about assimilation, right? And how people need to show up or be so that I can accept them, right? And so I know this is a broad way of me saying what I'm saying, but my point is, can you remain curious enough so that history can retell itself to meet you where you're at present, right? And that's what Samantha did, and that's what she is doing with her work. And she was so eager to share this with me, and it just helped me to also bridge that gap in that chasm to show that essentially everybody had needed a safe space. And so in my work, that's what I do. Like I create a safe space for people to tell their story, to be themselves, right? You all know it's like restoring God, people's faith in God's voice, but as well, ultimately letting them know a friend is listening, right? So I've been on my journey, and many of you have heard my journey. I mean, I was this individual at one point in time, and I know we're over time. I was this individual at one point in time, literally April. I'm taking your time. I'm gonna stop here. Listen, the point that I'm trying to make
No,
is
actually,
that
Bernard, I want to hear it if you don't mind.
I see
I
my
want
headset
to.
is out. Actually, hold on. That's why I wasn't hearing you all. Give me 1 second. April, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay.
Please, please go. Please.
Yeah,
Because,
yeah.
whoa.
The thing is, I'm gonna have to run because the dirty diaper disciples they're in the back and the wifey. So I gotta cut it short. But listen, April, I think this is what I also want to say. I think there needs to be a continued conversation. So I was telling you that this is why it needs to be a series, right? In regards to having the conversation, because it's in some spaces it's just not easy. It's just not easy to have the conversation because we all have different viewpoints. We all have different opinions. But even asking the question, what does allyship really look like, right? And I've seen in different spaces where it wasn't until it hit home that people their tone changed, their context changed, right? And they for the first time they actually had to wrestle with it, right? And so it's just so important to create this space where we can actually have this conversation. But I will say what I've learned, April and everyone, what's paramount is safety, right? Safety. And then we can actually approach it from a level of conversation of a person's humanity, right? And so I'll stop here, but I also want to publicly say to you, April, you did it. You're always doing it. You're having a conversation, and my encouragement is for you to continue, just like you shared with me privately. You know, you hold a space, a specific space for people. So I ask that you continue to be that space, but also take care of yourself. We all may not know. Y'all having a conversation with someone that actually is recovering from a flu right now. All right. And recovering from having a conversation with Denard and anybody that knows, especially my wife, that can be taxing its own self. So I hope that this you are where you stop it. But ultimately, I just hope that this provided language for you as you move forward. And I know, Tess, you're getting your hair done, girl. It better be good because we wanted to hear from you. I mean, and Carly, I definitely loved hearing your journey because we all share space. Eddie, we didn't get a chance to hear from you, but we're glad that you were here. Billy, we're sharing space as well. I'm glad that you're here as well. Lisa, thank you for sharing a little bit more of your story. But I cannot take the last word, right? You all know how I like to do the master classes. So in all that you've experienced, April, here's my question for you. What has this conversation done for you? Oh, my headset went off again. Hopefully you heard it, April.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, I do. And the part that I hear is that, guess what? Once again, we are all human. All human. And just because we're classified to be within the LGBTQIA plus space does not mean that we're different. We're not different by far. I want you all to think about this question, a full one, of what do you take back from this and who and where would you advocate? Who and where? Because it's so many times when we we we're just in the moment, we we actually don't know what to say, what to do, and then it becomes part of a full society, a full one, because not only do I want that, not only do I believe that God has us, I want you to know you're never alone. Never alone. And the ending part, if Dinar, if it's okay, Eddie, I would like for you to say the final words.
Hi, April. I'm actually at work, so let me duck into a quiet OR here, so I'm not yelling
No, no
anything,
worries.
and
No
people are looking at
worries.
me like I'm crazy.
No, no
Um,
worries. And the one thing that I do know when it came to everyone that is here and the ones that I do not know, but Eddie and Morgan, you all have just knocked down every obstacle that there is, regardless of if you're still pressing forward within your journey, a journey. So, Eddie, please go ahead whenever you can.
I was just going to say that I've been listening to everybody speak, and I appreciate what everybody had to say. And I appreciate Billy for being here and wanting to learn more and explore what the community is all about. I think that is super helpful for on both sides in our community. And I hate separating communities, but like in our community versus the hetero community too. I wish that more people would come into these spaces that are open to everybody. April's rooms are open to everybody too. However, they're under the LGBTQIA plus category, which not everybody subscribes to. And these master classes, I feel like reach a broader audience because they're under the master class title. So would love to see a lot more of these come along because I feel like there are a lot of people out there who are too afraid to explore who we are. Again, I hate segregating us out because, like Morgan said, we're all human. Human is human. But I feel like a lot of people are afraid to understand more about what it is like to be us. And I appreciate everybody for being here, and I appreciate Gerard for having this room up and inviting April to talk about this.
Thanks, Eddie. Thank you. And Denard.
What's up, sis?
Bro, what I want to say to you
Dope.
is just thank you. Thank you. Because, yes, when we entered within circles, it was my 4 years entered today. Not today, but this month. And so, you as a person, you were there. You were always there for me. Always. Through it all. Through me being through me being pansexual, through me being losing my wife, with my brother in heart failure, don't know the day at all, don't know anything. And you said that it would be okay. Everything would be okay. I believe in you the exact same way that you believe in me.
Yeah. I received that. April. And you give nothing less but your heart. And I really do appreciate you in this space. And as we close out, I think that's a perfect way. Let's appreciate April because she's been through so much, but it's also made her more beautiful, right? You see the profile picture, beautiful inside and out. We're not going to shy away from that. We have dynamic, beautiful facilitators. Okay, we can market that too. I'm not going to shy away from that. But the main point that I want to get to is as we close out, you all, I just want you to know that this is not the last part of the conversation. I'm still in Eddie. I'm still in what you shared here. Like we need to have more of these conversations. And I think as we have these conversations, at least what I've learned from Brave Talks is that essentially there's a group that has the information but don't have the heart, right? And then there's a group that has the heart, but don't necessarily have the language. Because just like Morgan has shared, sometimes we're the language is aloof, but we're trying to search for something. So hopefully in this space, we can connect the heart to the heart, right? And we can continue to trust that as we journey in this space, we'll find a space that we're safe, a space that you have someone like a April that's able to guide and direct and ask even the tough questions, right? To allow us to land in a soft space where, just like Pedro Agutama, who's one of the famous theologians from Northern Belfast, Ireland, that helped them through a tumultuous time. But he identifies as actually first identifies as a gay theologian, right? But in his work is about the argument of being alive. That's his work, the argument of being alive. So the question of advocacy that was posed to you all here, do not forget, because in that, it's what's tapping you back into humanity to ask you what's keeping you alive and how are you keeping others alive. So let us continue this journey together as we continue to guide, direct, but trust ourselves, show up as yourself. And I thank each person for being here. April, again, much love. Eddie, thank you for articulating to us that this space actually being a masterclass allows more people to join in different conversations. Morgan, thank you for reminding us that part of being in the community is recognizing that, just like Eddie said, there's actually more acceptance because you've learned that other places there's more exclusion, not inclusion, right? And for those that trusted us with your journey and your story, for real, y'all. Like I've been in spaces with some people, but to hear your story, it don't listen. We're not going to overlook that, you all. We thank you. We thank you for sharing your story. Lisa, you went back to your earliest, right, experience of love, and so that's totally dope. Tez stayed the whole course while getting her hair braided, and then Billy, you know, we've been talking and just being inquisitive, right? We remain with that compassionate inquiry, and that's in that space to know that this community modeled exactly what they say they do, right? Is that we accept. That's what you hear, like we accept, right? And as long as the places remain safe, as long as the places remain where a place people can actually exact their truest humanity, where they can be seen, heard, validated, and healed, y'all, this is the space. Let's continue the journey. God bless, Godspeed, and shout out to Circles, by the way. I know this is recorded, so I also want to say shout out to Circles for trusting us with this space, giving us this space. And if you haven't been in a room, if you've been into a room with April, my encouragement is to continue to join the rooms, continue to invite other people as well. Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. That was Lisa. Yep. I heard that. Wait. You're welcome, Lisa.
I want all of you all to take care as well too. And Denard, we'll talk soon. We will.
All right. All right, we'll do. Bye, girl.
Bye. And bye to each and every last one.